Hey everyone, this is Wei, and thanks for joining me here once again. So for this video, I'm going to be wrapping up the series on drawing and shading simple geometric shapes, and this one is going to be on the sphere. So let's get started, and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, so let's start to shade a sphere. It might be complicated at first, but it's actually very simple. So let me show you this this method of doing it. So let's just say, just gonna roughly do a little circle. I'm just gonna do everything's gonna be hand drawn, just because it's a little bit easier. All right, so let's say you have this sphere. The first thing you want to do is to just put a little dot to where the center is, and then from there, let's just say wherever the light is coming from. So you're gonna pick the hottest spot anywhere in the sphere. Just pick a hottest spot. Let's say that's gonna be the highlight area, right? So the light is coming to somewhere from here, this side, and this is going to be the brightest part. So a quick way to do it is just to, from the center point to the highlight, draw a line all the way across, okay? And then from the center, draw a line that is perpendicular to this line. So you just got to basically make an X, right? Because this is going to be 90 degrees, okay? So once you have that, now to figure out where the shadow will end, well, where the terminator is, where the light will not be hitting the surface of the sphere. Just calculate this distance right here to this distance, okay? So you take this distance right here and you duplicate it here. So it's gonna be right around here, right? So that distance from the edge to the highlight, from the center to here. So once you have this, now you know the terminator is gonna be right around here. So what you need to do from here is to draw a kind of like an ellipse, as if you're slicing this sphere through the center at this point. So the ellipse, obviously you can double this area right here, because it's going to give you the ellipse shape. Now this is the part where it gets a little bit tricky, because you're going to have to be able to draw an ellipse, okay? And I'll talk about that as we go on. So now that we have this ellipse right here, now we know that the light is gonna die off right around here. So everything behind here, it's not affected by the main light source. Okay, so this would actually be like, okay, let me switch to a 4B. I was using a 2B pencil. So this would actually be like the moon, right? So if you were to draw the moon and trying to figure out how to shade it, you figure out where the light source is, where the sun is, and then you can calculate it like that. And then this would be your moon. And pretty much this whole area would be completely dark, because there's really no light reflecting back onto the moon. Okay. So now obviously if you're gonna shade a regular sphere, it's not going to look like this, just because it's a different light source, right? But we have to understand how this works. So basically, how you would shade a moon. Let's just do another one real quick. And then once we understand that, then I'll move on to how you can actually shade it. That's a real sphere, not necessarily just the moon. Okay, so the center, let's just pick any light source. Let's say it's like right around here. Okay, so this is the brightest area right here. So I'm going to draw a line, okay, line straight through, and then a perpendicular line to the middle. Okay, now take this distance right here, push it over here. This distance, push it from the center here. So roughly probably right around there. So now you have the center, and this is where the light's going to end. So we're going to draw an ellipse right here, inside, all the way through. Now the reason I'm drawing all the way through, even though everything's behind, let's just say I'll put in a dotted line. It's just that so you can see it, and it will assist you in drawing this curve. Okay, so let's do that same thing again. We're drawing the moon again. Okay. So with this method, you can quickly get a sense where this the light is gonna be terminated, where it's not gonna hit the sphere anymore. Now let's see. Now all right. So the reason why I like to draw the back of it too is because if you were to do, let's say do this again, okay, and I'm here and I'm trying to draw this. You might do something like this, and then you realize it's probably a little bit too sharp, because if you were to do the back, this right here is a little bit too sharp. It actually needs to round off more. So if you draw the back more, that way you can see the ellipse is nicely round. It's like if you're doing an ellipse. Let's see. So this would be more accurate, right? Than if you do this. See, this is not accurate because this is too sharp right here. So that's one of the reasons why you want to just draw the whole thing, at least at first. Get used to doing these kind of ellipses. And it's difficult, that's why they have templates for this kind of stuff. Because if you need to draw something accurate, like cars and stuff, you really need the ellipses. But, this is just a very rough and dirty way of drawing ellipses, but it's good enough for what we're trying to do here. So let's do a real sphere, and not just the moon, but it's just gonna be the same method, but we're gonna shade it a little bit better. Okay, so let's start off with a sphere again, with a circle. Okay, so we're gonna find the center. Let's do the light. Okay, let's just say somewhere right here. Okay, so here's our center, the light source hotspot right there. So I'm going to draw a line, and we draw a perpendicular line from the middle. Take this distance, double it over here, so it's going to be right around there. Now we draw the ellipse. You can just, since there's a center, this is going to be equal distance, so you can just put this distance over here. Okay, so now we're going to draw the ellipse. As best as you can, even if you screw up the ellipse, just as long as you get it close, because we're gonna shade the heck out of it anyways. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so now we know this is gonna be not affected by the light source. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of shading, and this will be affected entirely by pretty much the environment. Okay, so now we know this is the hot the lightest part, and this is gonna be the darkest part. So everything from here is just basically a gradation from dark to light. So I'm just gonna start off dark here. Again, I'm using a 4B. I'm not gonna trying to go as quick as possible without making too many errors. Okay, so now you kind of see the shape forming a little bit, right? Now you kind of feel that this is a sphere, not a circle. Okay, so obviously, it all depends on the light source. So you might want to soften that up a little bit. So I'm just gonna soften it up. If the light source is a very broad light, kind of like soft lighting, not a point light. A point light would be like the sun. That would be like the point light because it's really bright and it's far away. So now we can kind of smooth things out. So now you can feel it a little bit more, right? Okay, now let's just put this on the table. Let's just say this way we can visualize this thing a little bit better. Alright, so I'm not going to go into too much detail into this. The light direction is here, so we can go right there. So the shadow is going to end right around here, right? That's the top, and the bottom is going to be right around here, right? So the bottom, this whole area would be like basically an ellipse. It's kind of like, right? Because that's what it is. It's just a circle with a shadow. Okay, so this is gonna be dark. I mean, this whole thing will be dark. And the only light this thing would get is basically, the shadow would get is anything from the environment. Okay. Alright, so let's do that. And then now, now that you put in this seems a little bit too light, right? It seems like it's getting way too much light from the environment. So I'm just gonna darken it up a little bit. Okay. I'll make this part darker. Okay, so let's see how that looks. That's kind of getting there, right? And usually and I'll go into a little bit more detail now, how to make this thing a little bit more realistic, because if we play with the shading a little bit, we can get a much better form. Alright, so now we have this, which is pretty good. But with circles, again, the environment is always hitting the edges of the sphere. So especially down here, this light source right here is gonna bounce back up. Here, I'm gonna line up the circle right here. So I'm just gonna dab it with my kneaded eraser, and this way it'll take away some of the shading. Okay, so you see now by taking it out, you can feel it a little bit more, right? You feel like this is a fuller shape. So with circles, with spheres, it's actually very important to have this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make this part a little bit darker just to put contrast, into that edge, so that you feel like, this part is light and then this part is darker, right? So, and in reality, this whole area right here, this whole edge would probably be lighter. Okay, so I'm just gonna dab it because it's getting light from the environment. Okay. So that's why when you see realistic, shading of a sphere, you have this kind of shape like that, where the edge, all around the edge, it's a little bit lighter. Okay, it's kind of like let's see, you can actually do it fairly quickly. It's kind of like a chrome sphere, right? If it was chrome, the edge, outer edge is practically all white because it's reflecting the light, and you can just shade it like this, and you'll see, you can see a lot of this stuff. So even if you just take a circle and you shade it like this, all of a sudden it feels like a sphere, right? Okay, so that's what's happening here. It's just reflective light hitting back the edge. So we can shade this. See, like this part right here, it's pretty dark, right in the shadow area. So this area right here won't get a lot of reflective light. So this can be darker. Just right there, a little bit darker. Okay. So now it feels like more and more realism in this sphere. So I can even soften that up a little bit more. Make this really dark. Just kind of push in with the pencil real dark. Okay, so I mean, the whole process is pretty easy. It's just, get used to drawing a circle. Okay. Keep it light. Find a center. Pick a light source anywhere. So let's say like somewhere right here. We'll put it up close. Okay, so that's the hottest spot. Draw a line through the center. Draw a perpendicular line. Now measure this distance, which is pretty much all the way from here to here, right? Double this distance here. There's your terminator. Now we're gonna draw the ellipse. Now this part is almost like a circle, so probably won't draw the other side. So now we know this whole part right here won't get as much light. Well, it won't get any light at all from the light source, other than reflective light. Okay, hot spot, darker, 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 darker. So now we can shade it. Again, just using a 4B. Okay, and probably a little bit too dark on the back. Dab it away. Make it a little bit more real. Okay, so real simple stuff. Center, light source, X, double, terminator. And there's your moon. And it all starts from that. And you know, how you want to shade it depends on the lighting setup. But overall, you know, this kind of stuff will be good enough for a sphere. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this, and check out my other videos on shading geometric shapes. I think I have the cube and then the cylinder. So given all that, you know, you have a pretty good sense on how to shade any kind of simple geometry stuff. And then from there it gets a little bit more and more complicated, but it all starts from, you know, these basic shapes. So I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next time.